Yeah. Top of the mile, man. Fresh on park, man. In the parking lot now. It's a good day to watch some Browns, even though I feel like this is totally meaningless in terms of this second game. We all know we feel it's rigged. I feel it's rigged. I feel it's rigged. I feel like they want old boy to play. I'm not really mad at that, but we're gonna get into just all Browns news real quick. We're gonna give a shout out to Nick Chubb, super duper legend, man. Always gonna appreciate you. Always gonna be like upset that you had to retire. Upset. So we definitely gotta beat them who took you away from us this year. Definitely gotta beat them. We gonna get into some 92 the fan, I think. We just gonna talk a little Chubb, little Watson, little Shador, and then we gonna see where it go, y'all. We gonna see where it go.
He's not the greatest Browns running back of all time, but he's second or third. You know, if you go look at his stats over the course of his career, he's third in rushing yards in Browns history. He's third in rushing touchdowns as well. And he's actually second in yards per game. This is a guy that, was beloved, and injuries have followed him his whole career, even going back to him at Georgia. And Nick Chubb, spent he started 9, but he only had 122 attempts. And almost in every other season, he had way more than that, almost 200, he had 300 attempts. In 2022, we all know about his devastating knee injuries. And James, you are the resident Browns fan here. You watched pretty much every second of Nick Chubb's career here in Cleveland. What did he mean to you?
He just kind of marked the one aspect of hope. You can reliability, excuse me. That's what it is. Reliability. You knew if anything else, quarterback, all bad offensive line, inconsistent wide receiver play, full tight end, whatever the case may be, you knew you could at least rely on Nick Chubb. You knew whether he got hit the backfield, you knew he was still going to make something out of it.
Straight up.
And when they let him go, it was a little hurtful because, he's just somebody you could root for without any of the off the field stuff. You knew what he brought to you on the field.
He took a big cut.
He's almost to a throwback a little bit too. I just go out there and I act like I've been here before. I'm going to hand the ball to the ref. And those kind of guys are hard to come by who don't do a lot of talking. His presence just kind of emanated through how he played. And I remember when the rumors were earlier in the offseason that, hey, the Browns may kick the tires to see if they may want to bring him back, veteran presence in the locker room, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought that would have been good for a youthful team like this who are playing so many young guys. But injuries sometimes just take a hold of people, and it's just unfortunate, that he had that second knee injury because who knows what his trajectory could have been, and the fact that, you're already having to recover from the same injury on the same leg. There's just a lot to deal with. And they even just see how he was able to come back and be a somewhat productive guy in Houston. So, you hate to see it kind of end like this where a guy's going out right before the season. That kind of indicates that, hey, man, nobody really wanted you. So you're going ahead and shut it down. But I think we just owe him a debt of gratitude and respect just because of how he carried himself as a Cleveland Brown on and off the field. And, some of those runs I remember. The funniest thing, the thing I remember most about Nick Chubb, it wasn't a touchdown. It's not a block. It wasn't a cutback block. It was him stopping at the 3-yard line to run the clock out. He could have scored and iced the game for sure, but that just goes to show you where he's thinking presence of mind in the game to, what? I could pad my stats. An extra touchdown at this point would look pretty nice on his pro football reference page, right? But he was just that kind of guy. He was always going to make the right play, sacrifice for the team. When you think about a guy who's going to sacrifice it all for the squad, you got to say Nick Chubb.
And I'm looking at his game logs from last season. He had a rough. He just struggled. He went out on his own terms. He's not a guy who wasted away. He struggled to get 4 yards of carry in the early part of the season, and then from November on, he only had, from November 9th to the end of the season, he only had one game where he actually had more than 10 carries or more. He had exactly 10 on January 12th in the regular season finale against the Steelers. It was hard. It was Nick Chubb. You will be missed. He's going to be a Ring of Honor guy for the Browns. I think he's going to be around town. He's going to be a guy that comes back. I'm sure he'll be a major face in the Cleveland community. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a guy that started to make regular hits here. The way that Joel Bitonio is going to do, the way that Joe Thomas does.
Well, he's not a big talker, though. So, I don't know about that. He strikes me as the type of guy who's just going to, ride off into the sunset. Okay. He's from Georgia, so, I'm pretty sure he's got a plot of land down there. He's a quiet guy. He was always the guy that just kind of I'm going to let my play on the field speak for me. I'm not about to sit here in front of these microphones and cameras and tell you just how it's going to happen and telegraph it for I'm gonna stand here and do my job. But he mainly wanted just to play football, and I mean, you can appreciate somebody who just wants to come in and do their job.
And there was never any controversies from him in an organization that at times during his tenure could have been so dysfunctional, and him taking the Browns to the playoffs and being a force and just being a guy that that you could rally around and point toward hope. You go back and you remember his rookie year, 4 yards shy of an 1,000-yard season, could have started his career with 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and you remember the perseverance that he had to deal with at Georgia and learning from guys like Sonny Michel and Todd Gurley, and he persevered through so many different things. And you remember, he wasn't the first running back from his own college team drafted. Now, granted, he was picked in the 2nd round, 35th overall, so first round plus 3. This isn't something that is unexpected. He wasn't with a team. He wasn't going to be Nick Chubb, so to speak, anymore. He was going to be a guy that would be a rotational piece, change of pace back, just probably back in the depth chart. And when you're Nick Chubb and when you're used to stuff like that, it's hard to go back to when you're used to being the guy. It's hard to go back to it's hard to stay in the background. When you are the face, or at least one of the faces of the franchise, and you're just a guy now. You're just a guy on the end of the bench. I wouldn't say the bench, but you're just one of the running backs on the roster. Maybe you get in, maybe you don't. I think that, especially because how many injuries he had, he knew it was time, and I respect that. When you know it's time, it's something that I really respect. 216-474-0092.
I gotta disagree with you there, buddy.
What do you mean?
I know we're making this a habit tonight. You got to be better. I don't think that he came to grips with being an end of the bench guy. I think that's why he retired. I think you think about some NFL players, right? They don't want Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is flirting with coming back, and most of us believe that it's probably going to happen.
He's coming back. There's no way he doesn't come back.
That's what we think, right? I think he's okay with coming back because he knows I'm actually going to play a pivotal role.
Yeah,
I'm as important as I was 3 years ago. That's not the same for Nick Chubb, no matter where he goes, no matter what knowledge is up there in that noggin. So I think also knowing that I'm going to have to take a reduced role. I may only play a handful.
I do want to apologize. I thought about him talking about him retiring. They was going to give us his stats, give him some flowers, like not talk all this, he couldn't see himself not in the forefront. So I apologize. I really thought they was going to run down his stats, his highlights. I do remember he did take that knee at the 3-yard line instead of running that touchdown in for the win. You know how hard it is to get wins for the Browns. So I do think that summarized up how he was. As a back, I got little to no complaints about the type of back he was. His strengths was very, very strong. He did have some weaknesses, but that's not what we're talking about on this stream. But I thought they was gonna give him way more flowers.
That's hard.
That's literally what I said. That's literally what I said.
Oh, my bad. I misheard. My bad. I misheard you already.
Actually, I do want to touch on that Aaron Donald thing, though. I don't think Aaron Donald retired because what else could he accomplish? He had nothing else to accomplish. He might be the greatest defensive player this century. Aaron Donald was every year All-Pro, every year Pro Bowler. 20 sacks seasons, got over 100 sacks. He does. Yeah, he does. He's over 100 sacks. Super Bowl champion. Multi-time defensive player of the year. Aaron Donald had nothing more to accomplish in the NFL. And remember that season, it looked like the Rams were headed for disaster. The Rams, they were 10-7 that year, and they lost the Lions in the playoffs, and the Rams made no picks. I shouldn't say headed for disaster, but nobody thought they were going to be unbelievable. Nobody thought that Puka Nacua was going to come out of nowhere and be freaking amazing. Nobody thought that they were going to get Myles Garrett at this point. Aaron Donald's coming back for one reason nobody's go out there and win a Super Bowl.
And I think because probably Chubb didn't have any Super Bowl contenders, that makes it. I want to say that makes it easier, but I mean, if you don't have a dance to the date, or to speak to the Browns, date to the date. We don't have a date to the dance. It makes it a lot easier to say I'm not going to the dance.
Yeah, of course. And running back careers are so short now. And did he get paid? Did he get a ridiculous contract from the Browns?
No, he wasn't ridiculous. He actually took a team from
career earnings. Now I want to know.
If I had to guess, I would say his career earnings.
Wait. I see it. I have it here. Go ahead. Go ahead and guess.
I'm going to say his career earnings are under $92 million.
My God. I mean, yeah, but your estimate. Nick Chubb.
$62 million.
Nick Chubb, according to AI Overview on Google, Nick Chubb earned approximately $38.8 million to $40.7 million in his career. I mean, hell, if I heard anything, a fraction.
I will say, That is very shocking, especially with how much money Haslam gave out, that Nick Chubb only got a 40 piece. I am very surprised at that. Just with how much he meant to this team, with what he represented, I am just very surprised that he only got a 40 ball. We dropped the ball there. They did say something earlier where he was saying that Nick Chubb wasn't the first back drafted from his team. Forgot about that a little. Oh, they backed up. They backed up on the freeway. We going what 270 or something like that. Going from 70 to 270 north. On 71 north to 270 north. Oh my. I guess that'd be east. No, west. They backed up. They backed up. Expect some delays. But yeah, with that comparison, Judkins is also a second back who got drafted by us. Was he the second back? I do think he was the second back drafted from his team. I do think that's an interesting caveat with just the similarities between Judkins and Nick Chubb. Definitely two different kinds of runners, but they got that same similarity. I'm not saying that put them as the same. Nah, I'm not doing that. Judkins can be
pretty damn close to the happiest man alive. That's fine. And taking a team-friendly deal. So he signed his rookie deal 4 years for $7.3 million, and he followed up by a 3-year, $36 million contract. Which, and again, running backs don't make that much money anyway. Like, isn't Jeremiah Love has the highest guaranteed money ever, and he's just a rookie. And the only reason he has that high of a contract is because he was the 3rd overall pick. Like,
inflation.
There you go. Inflation and being a top pick.
Can I play something for you right quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Mike Tomlin, after Nick Chubb suffered that injury in that game, that fateful September 9th, these was his comments on Nick Chubb after that.
Man, he looks like the same guy that was running at Georgia to me. I just think it's about opportunity, and sometimes that's the case. I thought when given an opportunity a year ago, he looked like a featured runner, like the big-time runner that he's proven to be in 2019. Seems like he was at Georgia forever, and he did it for a long time in the SEC. So I don't think we're seeing anything new from him. I think sometimes it's just opportunity presents itself.
That was after he came back from an injury he suffered on the Browns. Pardon me. One more for you, though.
Go ahead.
A guy we used to love, Myles Garrett. This is what he was speaking about, like what it meant to lose a guy like Nick Chubb.
My brother, it's my brother. They've been together for a long time. And I mean, it's a blow for the whole team. We don't want his injury to be in vain. And we got to push on. That's what he wanted us to do. And if he had any trust in him, that's what he would do. So
that brings me to a question. Who is the single most offensive player that Myles Garrett may have respected toward that end part of his career? I may exclude Joe Thomas. Man. I know he had love for Baker, but I would like to think it was Nick Chubb, man, who on the other side of the ball, you like, yeah, that's going to be somebody that's going to help us win, man. I remember having people like, as soon as you get to college and different things, you don't play both sides of the ball. So a part of the game, unless you're playing special teams too, you really only can do your 111 on your 1/3 of the football. So I would imagine he has some love for Odell Beckham too, just off the star power. He was probably the only other person to come in here with more star power. Maybe him and Baker. But I would imagine Myles Garrett, out of all of the people who was on the offense on the Browns, Nick Chubb was somebody he respected a lot. You referred to him as his brother.
I think he uses motivation.
We started hour number 1 talking about the joint workouts. Wanted to know, did they take a leap? Do you feel better about things coming in?
All right, we moving into the second segment. This segment, tuning into the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You can hear Jay Crawford. He going already. He talking, but they trying to see what did we get out of the one joint practice and now this preseason game that's about to happen here in a few hours. Almost a few hours, about 6 hours from now. It's approaching 7 o'clock. I would like to say, I'm going to say before going into that, I haven't heard this yet. I think they competed and wasn't punked. They wasn't ran all over. I did see that KC was balling. He was even talking stuff like, not that the Bills is the greatest defense, but I thought that the Bills is probably about the average, maybe to above average defense you're gonna see in the league. So it's good that they was competing. I heard Josh Allen was lighting stuff up. That's good for the defense. Y'all supposed to be good. You at least get a sample, a little tasty taste, a nickel bag of that Bills pack. You gotta, and it didn't put you out. You know what I'm saying? It didn't put you out. It didn't knock you out. You was able to still function, get through. That's the way I'm looking at it. Let's hear what the professionals got to say about it.
By all accounts, they held their own, which is funny. It's like, that's a win.
Yeah.
We held our own.
Yeah.
It was practice. We held our own, but you take them wherever you can get them.
Yeah.
Is there anything short? What does Shore Sanders have to do now that basically the A is in the bar? They're going to do a walkthrough today and their final preseason games tomorrow. What was not the final preseason? No, you're right.
Yeah.
Decisive preseason.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
After this, he's got to kick it down the road as long as he can.
Yeah.
He's going to have to name a starter Monday of next week. What does Shedeur Sanders have to do in your mind?
Yeah.
To win this job? Can he win this job?
I mean, to me, he should be able to. Who knows what coach is thinking here in this situation? All the tea leaves we're reading signal that Deshaun Watson's going to be the starter. And while I don't understand it and don't agree with it, not because Shedeur has played well, just because I see at least some point of playing Shedeur, and I don't see any point of playing Deshaun Watson. But he obviously feels Deshaun Watson gives them a better chance to win. I know a number of people said, well, even the most ardent Shedeur supporters like G. Bush has said, I'm not going to say that he hasn't said Shedeur's been great in practice. He thinks Shedeur's been better than Deshaun Watson. But there's a lot of stuff, and I think most people think it's been about even.
Yeah.
Neither one particularly good. But there's also a lot of stuff we don't see.
Sure.
We don't know what's going on in the huddle. We don't know what's going on in the classroom and all this stuff. So I guess in theory, Deshaun Watson's doing a better job there. I don't buy he's playing because of the money. That doesn't make any sense. No. Because what's the point? The money's spent, it's done.
Yeah.
So
Now, the one thing, the money come into play. If he gets injured, Deshaun Watson, then that big number that's looming there could be paid by insurance and not by Jimmy Haslam. And that's something that we really haven't talked much about.
But it's good.
I was gonna say that just with the history, it may be shrewd business. I was gonna say on the business end, it do seem like an agreement was made. Deshaun Watson said there was some inside conversations. We lost over because he is so bad. We didn't see it. Now we seeing Monk bringing out the rag and seeing what's left in there. And I'm optimistic. I don't believe Monken's lying when he's saying that he believes Deshaun Watson can start. But on the business side, we just made the worst business decision ever. We got some insurance on it. Let's put him out there so then that if he do indeed get hurt. So I didn't think about this before, but at least from a organizational business standpoint, yes, put him out there, because if we don't put him out there, maybe we don't get that insurance money. Maybe it's allocated to starts. Maybe it's allocated to injuries. But if it is allocated to injuries, it's cold. But let's start him. Chances are he get hurt in the first couple of weeks or something. Even I want to say, even if it's like minor, but not season ending, then you get that insurance back. I don't know. Is this how they doing the NFL, man? Is this what they doing? Because damn, they treat Dawg like an appliance. Like, nah, use that one. It's on warranty. It was janky, but it just got repaired. Let's see if it works. If it don't work, we'll scrap it. I got this new one, this new model. But it is interesting. Am I tripping with that take?
So they got relief. I know you hate to go there because that's not the reason to make him the number one starter.
Yeah.
But if it happens, they got relief from his injury last year.
Not on the cap, but
No,
well,
not
a little
on
on
the
the
cap.
cap.
The cap is what it is
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. But,
Right, yeah, I guess. But I just don't buy that's the reason.
I don't either. Well, I just think it
Yeah.
might be part of the thing.
Sure. For whatever reason, Todd Monken is not worried about what's happened in the past. He thinks that this guy gives him the best chance to win.
Yeah.
So if at this point, Shedeur Sanders, it seems like, had to clearly separate himself from Deshaun Watson, the Bills are not going to play their starters in this preseason game. So even if he plays decent, the Browns are not going to play their starters.
No,
The older guys aren't going to play. The young starters are going to play. Okay, sure. I guess in theory, if he looks sensational in this game, but my gut tells me right now, even though I disagree with it, that there's nothing Shador can do to win this job at this point.
I think that's the general consensus.
I think what the Browns have been looking for out of Shador is, they've been pretty much equal. Yeah, Deshaun's had some bad practices. Shador's had some bad practices. Deshaun's had some great practices. Shador's had a couple good practices. If it's all even, it comes down to who can operate the offense, who can get you into a formation, read the defense, call out audibles, and that goes to the veteran, which I don't think is breaking news. Deshaun Watson's done this long. That's the thing. He's been through NFL, different head coaches, different offenses, so it doesn't surprise me that Deshaun maybe has a better grasp of what Todd Monken wants out of his quarterback right now.
Appreciate all y'all for pulling up. Please hit the repost button. I swear, I think most of y'all on Twitter. I can't really check right now. God. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got this and another clip after this.
To go out there, if he wants to win the job, pretty much, I don't say play flawless, but he has to show that he has a complete grasp of the playbook, that he can go to the line, recognize coverages, call out, take the right shots. He hasn't turned the ball over as much as Deshaun, but again, to Bull's point, we're only seeing practices and the quarterback tracker. We don't know what they're actually working on. We don't know what he's supposed to do. We just see the video and what the end result is, and maybe that's what they're looking for. Maybe it isn't. But it seems to me that the issue that they have with Shador is that he just doesn't have a grasp of the offense, and he's a young guy, and that's not a knock on Shador as a person. That's just where he is in his development. So I think, yes, the tea leaves seem to be pointing towards.
I have not heard that. I've listened to pretty much every time on an interview. I've listened to the quarterback coach. What's weird is it does seem like that is the case, because why is he not starting yet if he looks so much better? But I'm sure whatever the Monken scale of evaluate, which I'm really feeling like y'all need to actually hurry up. The season is approaching, but I do think they are trying to give Shador a chance, because you see how it's lining up. They lining it up for Watson to start. They've been setting it up, making sure he get the. And I'm interested to see what his rehab timeline was like, because even when they put out some clips and OTAs, it looked like he could barely move. I do know a couple months make a huge difference. Great science. We got great doctors down there in Cleveland Clinic. Shout out to them. But it's interesting that and Junkins too. I'm interested to see Junkins, his rehab schedule, because he's looking like he's going to start. But at the same time, they holding him out. So I'm really confused as to how they doing the injuries, and then we got all types of people out. So I don't know. Sorry about that tangent.
I think putting the veteran out there when you have this young offense, at least at the start of the year, is not the worst thing in the world, because you need a quarterback who can operate as in get the play call in, as in get these young receivers on the right.
You know what I don't get, and what they not really talking about is, we know that he's a veteran, but we not counting that veteran status because the production has not been there. We don't care if you a veteran. If the last time we saw you play quarterback so bad that I'm even willing to see Dylan Gabriel over Deshaun Watson. But Todd Monken said he had 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. I don't think he was talking about Dylan Gabriel in what he was talking about. So I don't know, man. I really just gotta trust Monken, man, and hope that he's just not like he reminds me of all the Pepsi gang people out there, be like Rick and Morty. He is our Rick version of a coach, man. Just old dude doing what he wants, breaking the rules, smarter than everybody. He gonna do it his way, and I'm hoping it plays out well. I'm really hoping it plays out well. They was just doing some weird stuff right there. Oh, they was in an accident. But man, sorry.
And on the right page, that's how your offense develops.
There are a lot of different scenarios for how this can play out, not just to start the season, but the whole season.
Yeah.
Among the scenarios that I cannot at this time get my mind around is that Deshaun Watson is the week 1 starter and he plays 17 games.
Well, I mean, there's almost no
I
chance
can't
of
get
that.
my mind around
No
that.
way.
So what
They
that
have more
tells me
starting
is
quarterbacks in like the last 5 years than anybody else in the NFL.
probably during
By a wide margin.
probably not just in the last 5 years, but probably for any team's 5-year stretch.
The one thing that they don't add to this caveat is we did have some cool quarterback stability for a little while with Baker Mayfield. It wasn't until the offensive line got banged up we start having all these quarterbacks. Shout out to Stefanski for being able to play. Got a coach of the year off of having a 4th-string quarterback do decent. So I don't like how they always throw that. Oh, the Browns are average playing this amount of quarterback. Yeah, but when your line is so ass, you damn near bound to. Hey, everybody 1 sack away, 1 hit away from. Come on, man. Come on. Then ironically, all of the backups that come in that's used to the bad lines play better just because it's like they're used to the bad lines, man. Crazy.
Starting quarterbacks they've used.
Yeah.
So that in mind, I know we're focusing on a big deal on who the starter is going to be because that's next.
Right.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But Shedeur Sanders is going to play football this year for the Cleveland Browns.
I agree. Yeah.
You can almost book it.
Yeah.
In fact, I would take the over/under. If it's 2.5, I would take the over that Dylan Gabriel will see time this year.
He might.
I'm just.
Stadium might explode. They won't have to demolish it.
No, it just crumble around
It
itself.
wouldn't shock me if Taylon Green is
Now,
playing.
that would shock me.
That would
Week
shock
17,
week 18.
Well, I mean,
That would
who knows?
shock me.
I'd love to see it. I'll say this. I'll say Taylon Green or someone else.
Okay.
What's BJ Walker
Yeah.
up to? He's still around there somewhere?
Hello, BJ. Yeah, so I'm in agreement with you, Bull, for sure. I think that this decision has been pretty much, let's say it was penciled in
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yes.
For whatever reason,
I think so.
I think that Todd Monken, maybe it's to endear himself to the fans early on.
Once I found out about the internal conversations, it just forced me to look at this whole thing a lot different. Because he played so bad and they still gave you the internal conversation that you was going to get a chance. That's still blowing my brain a little bit.
In their silly game, he's putting the perception out there that, hey, we're taking a serious look at this Shedeur kid, and if he can win the job, it's it. But I don't think this has ever been a competition, and it's particularly the way they both played. Nobody has separated them.
Yeah, I disagree with that. I think it's been a competition.
I think so.
I agree with the first part of what
I
you
think
said,
it's
that
been
he's been leaning, that Watson had the edge for
Yes.
a while.
So,
But I think if Shedeur had clearly outplayed Deshaun the entire preseason, I
Yes.
think he could have been the starter. Again, I don't know that.
here's how he wins the job. Is there a scenario? Yeah, I can see one.
Okay.
Here's how he does it. He goes 13 of 15 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
here's
the
why.
operational stuff, no false starts, no delay.
Everything looks good.
Yeah, everything
looks good. No picks, no fumbles, no sacks. I'm talking he's got to spin a perfect game.
Yeah.
And then, how does Todd Monken step to the podium Monday and say, well, we've made our choice and it's Deshaun Watson? Get the pitchforks ready. They're storming the facility in Berea. Am I wrong?
That might
Am
happen.
I wrong?
Yes.
Because the Shedeur crowd
Yeah.
has been maintaining all along that he's the better quarterback.
Right.
And so if Deshaun goes out there and lays an egg against the threes,
Yeah.
and Shedeur goes out there and spins a perfect game, 2s on 2s, then the ruse is up. Oh, this was never a competition in the first place.
Well,
You were
yeah.
just putting on a dog and pony show, making us think there was a chance.
Right.
And then, and the reason I say that is because the practices have weighed heavily, no question. Yesterday weighed heavily, no question. But we're going into round 15 and neither guy's landed a knockout punch.
No.
So if you don't want it to go to the card, to the judges, what do you do if you're Shedeur? You throw the haymaker and you throw the knockout punch.
Yeah.
And if you throw the knockout punch and you show the staff, the fans in the world, I can handle the offense, I can get us in and out, I can make the right decisions, I can check at the line and change protections, I can check us into the right play when I see the wrong defense, I can 3 drives, 80 yards down the field, I threw for 3 touchdowns. I wouldn't want to be Todd Monken if you're going to name Deshaun Watson on Monday.
I wonder, let's say I think we all think that it's very unlikely that Shedeur is going to be the week 1 starter, right?
I would agree with that.
I wonder if Todd Monken has said to Deshaun Watson, hey, listen, I keep saying you're going to play the second half of this game. Be prepared to play. But I wonder if he's thinking, like, if Shedeur does not play well, or is just okay.
I see where you're going.
If he's just like,
Deshaun, take a seat.
that's it, you're not playing.
Green, get in there.
That's it. And then we know. Because if Deshaun doesn't play in the second at all in this game,
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
because he
Then
said
he's in the bar.
Yeah,
He's
right,
just
right.
made, and now you don't want to risk your guy getting hurt.
Right, but you can't.
Even though those are valuable reps.
But I wonder if he's told him to be prepared in case this. Because if Shedeur
Was
doesn't
it-
play well, maybe he wants. I don't
It's
know.
an interesting question.
Just
I would
spitballing,
love for that to be
yeah.
posed to Todd Monken.
I'd be shocked if he would tell Deshaun you're not playing this because Todd Monken is an old school football coach. And I think at the end of the day, he values those reps
Maybe.
more than anything. And even if he says, hey, Deshaun, you know what? You're going to go out there, don't get hurt. You're going to be the week 1 starter.
Yeah.
He still wants reps. He still wants, because Deshaun
Yeah.
hasn't played in 2 years.
No, and he needs
But it's an interesting idea. And you're right. That might happen.
Well, listen,
but-
if the third quarter starts and Dylan Gabriel trots out there, then
Yeah.
your theory is
So then it's over. You
There's
know,
no smoke in Berea. They've decided.
If Shedeur throws a couple of picks,
Yeah.
holds the ball too long,
Right.
gets a blindside sack fumble,
Yeah.
then he didn't throw the knockout punch, so I don't need my guy to fight another guy.
Right. Yeah.
Keep him in the barn.
Again,
keep him
just
safe.
possible that
No, it's
takes
something.
place.
It's something to consider, something to think about for sure. Because it's the Browns.
Yeah.
There are a million things that could happen.
I'm excited for 5 years from now when the AI versions of us are sitting down doing the Ultimate Cleveland
Yeah,
Sports
it's gonna
Show,
be fun to watch.
and we're going to be like, oh my gosh, they were arguing over Deshaun Watson and Shador Sanders, and the answer is it doesn't matter who starts week one. Their quarterback is in college.
I
That's
really
right.
believe that if they get it right at quarterback, that's a big if.
Yeah.
But I will give, and you and I have both been critical, although you've given Andrew Berry credit because you with all the deep Podesta stuff. But Andrew Berry is drafted great last year outside of Dylan Gabriel.
Looks good
This year on paper, we don't know yet. It looks like he's done really well.
Early returns
If
are good.
they get it right at quarterback next year, the quarterback comes into a pretty good situation. Now, we'll see about the offensive line. Outside of left tackle, I'm skeptical about the
I am too.
A young quarterback comes in, and look at all these good young skill position players you have.
I know.
It's a good spot for a quarterback to come in next year.
Very good spot.
So-
because by then these guys will be 3-year and
Or 2,
2-year
yeah, right.
pros.
Yeah.
And you're right.
Judy gone.
Yeah.
Move on from him after this year. I mean, your top 3 receivers with Concepcion, Boston, and Bond next year. Like, even Bond is a third guy. I like him as a third guy.
I do too.
I love Harold Fannin. We all love Harold Fannin.
Yeah.
And Quinshawn Judkins, I think, at worst, is going to be a good back, and he might be a great
And
back.
throw Sampson in there too. I think
As
he's
a change of pace,
I
he's a
think he's
decent
going to be
player.
a guy this year that
Yeah.
we all look at and say he's a lot better than we thought he was going to be after seeing him last year.
He's the type of back that desperately needs the O-line to block well.
I
He needs
mean-
space more than some other guys.
He's going to be the Keaton Mitchell of this offense.
I wouldn't be saying, hey, I do like that he said the Keaton Mitchell, but the one thing I will say, the Keaton Mitchell thing, he was third string, so I would like to see how Todd Monken is going to use the third string running back and they best features, because I know they like the Monty Marshall do. I like Rocket Sanders, so I would like to see how they do Rocket Sanders. Now, as far as how they used the second string back in Baltimore last year, I do think was it Gus Edwards last year? I like to think they was putting him in positions that was good for him to win. Like, I think Sampson and the second string back last year was different types, but that's interesting that he said that. But I would like to see what Todd Monken can do with the third back. See what he gonna do with Dylan, the second string back, and then as well as seeing how they want to use Judkins. Sorry, I'm in Columbus. I can't be messing up his name. To see how they gonna use him, because Monken is known for using the strengths of his team. So I just want to see what type of run schemes they want to use with Judkins mixed in with finally get Judkins into the screen game, which I think he could be very dangerous in. Very curious as to see what Monken's plans are for all of the running backs, as well as all of the receivers. Like, I expect, with this team, I see Monken do, like, we're going to be able to be like, oh, we putting Bond on safeties, on the free safety. Like, that's going to get schemed up. Why is that going to be schemed up? You got potentially Judy on the outside. KC going to be in the other slot. Now, unless you put in that strong safety, this is the Bond that I see already from a passing standpoint. When they come out there and I want to say 3 wide receiver set, I do think Judy right now is the best receiver out at the wide out, but I think the four receivers, because they do like to do empty or whatever. Whenever we do an empty or 4 wides, that KC and Bond in them slots, he's going to scheme them up, y'all. He's going to mark my words, because they can't guard both of them. They both look lightning quick. Safeties are known for being slow. And then if you are too far out there, what you got, Judy, and then you got Boston on the underneaths, or you know what I'm saying, filling in whatever is getting cleared out. So I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm nerding out. I'm nerding.
Milk out. He got all the
that's
hard
fine.
yards. Mitchell comes in, catches out of the backfield, the speed guy. That's why I'm really excited to see Dylan Sampson. I might not draft him in a fantasy league, but he's going to make plays. He's going to be a factor on this.
Yeah,
offense.
I believe so. Any
Who got a fantasy league, man? I have not even started a fantasy team. I've been so busy with all these channels and the battle rap and my worms and the gardening that I have not. And I'm gonna tell you, my participation. I do got both phones up and running, so I should be able to put them players in every week. But I still want to do fantasy, man. I just like drafting all Browns and getting wins, man. You might think it don't happen, but it happens. And it happened a lot.
He just
No,
saw that last year.
No, but just
But a change of pace guy that can catch the ball, and if you get him in open space,
Goodbye.
look out, because he's got
Yeah, he's a weapon.
immediate speed,
He's a
and he
weapon.
can definitely slice his way through a defense. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, James Harden might be the most patient player in the NBA. I was shocked the way this whole thing played out.
What was your biggest takeaway from Thursday's joint practice?
Yeah, guys, I honestly thought
they're gonna do more takeaways. I'm gonna talk about the James Harden thing. We done got some new players on the Cavs, and I do think it should be enough to get us back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know it's really early, but we just went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm still willing to bet that we have the best backcourt in the NBA, including Jalen Tyson, which I don't know how, or I don't want to see him take a step back. So I don't know how they gonna do this. All right, man, this ain't a Cavs video, but yeah, I had to say that. Hold up.
said it really well. They look like they belong. And I know we'll raise the banner here in late August because it looked like they belonged for a joint practice against the Buffalo Bills. And what can't get lost in this is that these are two organizations that are entering the 2026 season in very different positions. Like the Bills are obviously playoff bound, Super Bowl aspirations, MVP candidate in Josh Allen, whereas the Browns neglected to address that quarterback position this offseason and traded away the greatest player on the defensive side of the ball that this generation has seen in Myles Garrett. So these are two different organizations in two very different spots, but it wasn't embarrassing. It could have looked so much worse than what it actually looked like. Both quarterbacks had really good moments throughout this practice. The defense, they were going against Josh Allen. So what are you going to do? You know, the defense definitely was tested for the first time probably this training camp. But overall, it looked like they belonged. And I really think in a joint practice setting against a great team like Buffalo, that's really all you can ask for.
Chris, what are your thoughts on the news kind of breaking out of camp that in the first like real litmus test against another football team outside of last week's preseason game, the Browns kind of held their own against an elite AFC contender like the Bills?
I mean, I'll take it, right? I don't know that you can expect any more than that as a fan right now, because you know what this team is, right? As Nick said, we don't have a quarterback, I don't believe. Deshaun Watson's a bridge to nowhere. Shedeur, we may have something in Shedeur. We haven't seen it yet. Hopefully he's able to progress. And then we've got a bunch of young guys just all over the place. And that's where the excitement lies, right? Guys like Casey Concepcion had a couple of huge plays there against the Bills. You love to see that. You see the same thing with Denzel Boston. He's going to be a guy. Nick, you mentioned before, the running game is actually doing something a little bit. We're seeing Dylan Sampson out there starting to carve it up a little bit. So, my concern on the offense is going to be that offensive line, but you've still got a lot of position players, a lot of talent positions where we have significant upgrades, I think, over last year, and they're young guys. So that is where your optimism lies. Defensive side of the ball. Boy, Nick, the one thing that really worries me on this team, I think we do have an elite defense, but you can't truly be elite unless you have depth. And once again, we see another blow to that depth potentially. We're already thin at cornerback. Now we're looking at ends. I mean, there are some concerns for anybody who's watched this team. You say, hey, the Browns have had a good defense the last couple of years. It's not so much the loss of Myles Garrett, because I think we replaced him nicely with Jared Verse, and I think I like what we've done there. But my concern is going to be with the depth going forward.
Yeah, and a big blow on that front yesterday at practice. The one thing you really didn't want to see happen happened. And Alex Wright was carted off with a lower left leg injury. He tried to pop right back up. It happened in a one-on-one drill against Buffalo's starting right tackle. He went down right away. They both went down. Alex tried to pop back up, immediately realized he couldn't put any weight on that leg and, needed assistance getting onto the cart. I'm told the team fears that this is an injury that would keep Alex Wright out for quite some time. And we saw that the team knows how thin they are at this position already when they worked out Zadarius Smith and tried to sign him, when they worked out Jadeveon Clowney and hoped that he would want to sign back in Cleveland. They understand that edge rusher is a very peculiar spot. And now the unfortunate reality is they're trying to plan for life without Alex Wright for this season, which could be a huge blow if that's truly how severe this injury actually is.
Now, Nick,
Browns
how do you
facing
think
ghosts of defensive ends past. What's Courtney Brown up to these days? The silent storm.
Quiet
Let's
storm.
bring him in. Anything that we can get. We need to fill some bodies out there. We need to have somebody who can create some pressure for this defense. And man, Nick, that's a big concern spot for the Cleveland Browns right now.
So, Nick, do you think it's more likely now? Because as you mentioned, great point. Like, hey, you tried to sign Zadarius Smith literally last week, so you already knew the D line was going to be some sort of issue coming with the edge rushers. Do you think the Browns do go out and make an external move, whether it's a trade or a signing, or do you think we should start to get used to the names like Isaiah McGuire and Julian Okwara more?
Well, those guys are going to get a bigger role inherently. I'm curious to see, guys, how they manage Saturday against the Bills, because we know that no starters are going to play and they don't have any, rookies starting on the defensive line. But now you really might want to only play Okwara a little bit because you're going to need him to get through the rest of this camp and another full preseason game against the Patriots to wrap this thing up. So they're going to leave no stone unturned. It would not surprise me at all, especially as we get closer to that final roster cutdown day, if they could maybe trade a draft pick for an edge rusher. They have 11 draft picks in their arsenal, and you could certainly part with a day 3 pick.
Please hit the square, y'all. Hit the repost. Just checking in before this Browns game. I know we all hype. We get to see Shador get a start, even though it ain't with who we want it to be with, against who we want it to be against. But I do predict he will be sharp and he gonna look good today.
Maybe somebody gets cut and you could scour the waiver wire. There are still a few high-profile vets out there that they can go after, like a Joey Bosa or a Hassan Reddick. If they want to go big name hunting, those names are still out there. But it is going to open up an opportunity for Isaiah McGuire, as soon as tomorrow's preseason game against Buffalo, and the week that follows that, McGuire, Okwara, these guys are all going to have, an increased opportunity because this defensive line was already thin, and Alex Wright definitely isn't going to be out there anytime soon.
So, guys, kind of open up the floor to both of you. That is very well the only time we're going to see the Browns starters face off against the other team's best on best, probably for the last time until we really get going for real. You'd have to bet. Nick, how much more confidence do you have after watching this group yesterday, or not, I guess, than you may have coming in?
Yeah, I think I'm confident because I saw that baseline competence that you just don't know what it's going to look like until they're facing off with another team. And obviously, this is a practice setting where the coaches get together ahead of time and they compare notes and they contrast what each team wants to work on and get accomplished. But we've heard so much about pre-snap stuff and some of the operational things that have been messy. I've been out there at camp and I've seen some of the struggles they've had to get out of the huddle, to get lined up, to identify things before the snap. Okay, there were a few moments and a few lapses in Thursday's practice against the Bills where that issue flared up, but it wasn't every single time out. They were able to effectively move the ball on the ground with Sampson, as well as Rocket Sanders. They were able to throw the ball to their 2 rookie wide receivers. Harold Fannin was out there catching passes. So, you saw that baseline competence. So, it doesn't change me off my pivot, too much, because at the end of the day, this is a joint practice. It is not the end of the world how they looked. Even if they came out and looked really good or looked really bad, this was a practice. They weren't keeping score. But it definitely should be encouraging to Browns fans that you saw things that you could take away that are tangible.
Chris.
All right, Nick, you're going to have to address this, though. This is one of the differences you get from a guy like me. I'm just kind of monitoring this stuff over social media, seeing what clips are out there, what's coming up, what's being said by our team, what's being said by the other team. All over social media, there was this talk that the Bills were saying we're check down city. What did you see out there? Did you see these guys, our quarterbacks, just checking down an awful lot more than normal? Or did you see them open it up and kind of take the top off a little bit? Because I saw a mix of both.
Honest answer or politically correct answer?
Give me the honest answer. That's why I'm asking you, Nick. You were actually there. You're not. You don't have any agenda. You were sitting there in the stands. You were taking this all in. You got to give me the honest answer.
It was check down city.
Okay.
But shouldn't that be what it is this year? Shouldn't that be where the Browns are at their best? And Deshaun Watson and Shador Sanders both had nice throws downfield. I was telling you, Chris, before the show, Concepcion had 2 long grabs over the middle. Denzel Boston, when they were working on the 2-minute hurry-up offense, caught a really nice ball, on the boundary that moved the sticks and kept the thing rolling. So they did have nice throws downfield throughout the day, but at large, when you zoom out and you look at the macro, it was a lot of dink and dunks, but that's where they find their success. Like Dylan Sampson had a great day running the football and a good day catching the football with a lot of the screen stuff that they were doing. Both of the tight ends, had nice days on the game, and that might be how you have to live in this offense because both of these quarterbacks have their downfalls. And for Deshaun Watson, I don't know that zip is ever going to be.
Guys, we got some tough injury news out of joint practice yesterday. Alex Wright was carted off the field after sustaining an ankle, lower leg, foot, unconfirmed injury. He was carted off after a one-on-one rep versus Spencer Brown. Our own Chris Renkel happened to be the only Cleveland media member watching the one-on-one drills.
Renkel on the spot.
Was it watching 7-on-7? Chris, you were there.
I don't know.
What'd you see, man? And any insight on the injury too, Alex Wright?
Well, first of all, not a doctor. Want to be very, very.
Well, your wife is,
but engaged to one. Yes.
I keep saying wife.
Yeah. Keep jumping the shot.
Hold on. That's so fast. But at least you're engaged now.
Yeah. Step in the right direction. Yeah. You went on a one-on-one. Kind of got pushed to the outside like a lot of these one-on-ones do. He kind of went to the ground. Spencer Brown took it down. He got up, kind of walked a little gingerly towards the sideline, And then he motioned for trainers to come over, and I saw them. They were working on his leg, looked like ankle, upper ankle kind of area. So what that is, not sure. It could be anything from a rolled ankle. It could be a torn Achilles. We don't know.
High ankle sprain.
High ankle sprain.
You just don't know.
There's a large spectrum of things that could happen there. But the end result was he eventually was carted to the locker room, which again, you never want to see the card come out.
Yeah.
It was also a hot day, maybe some sort of muscle cramp there. I assume that it's not a
Hopefully it
cramp.
was a muscle.
We'll wait and see on that. But if they do lose Alex Wright, I mean, this is already a team that's tried to sign multiple veteran pass rushers.
Yeah.
They feel thin at the defensive end issue.
They are thin.
They are. So that makes an issue much more pressing matter. They got to get somebody in here because I know they like Isaiah McGuire, but you also like Alex Wright. So you need.
Well, Alex Wright was penned in as the starter.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so now you take probably the one area of your team that could least afford an injury, and you take potentially a starting piece out of that mix. You touched on it in the first block. We a couple of weeks ago did an exercise. Which unit, which part of this football team are you most concerned about outside of quarterback? Because we all agreed it was quarterback. And my answer to that was the defense, because we lost our two most important personalities, our two most important people.
Yeah.
In Jim Schwartz as the coordinator, and in Myles Garrett as the rushing defensive end. It's all world. And so now we're looking at that, and I was glad to hear that Mason Graham looked good and was in practice, and Hall, that's another one. These guys, we hadn't seen a lot of them. We were getting a little concerned. I'm glad they're back in there and looking good. But the one area we couldn't afford to get dinged, we got dinged. You never want to see an injury.
No.
And when I heard the card came out, I immediately thought, I didn't know it was ankle. I thought, oh no, please don't be an ACL. Please, because I know those drills, when you're cornering and you're trying to get leverage, you're putting a lot of stress on the lower extremities. Let's hope it's not an Achilles. Let's hope and pray that that is not the case. If it's a sprain, we may see him in a couple of weeks. Worst case scenario, I would think he's if it is an Achilles, that would be season ending. That would be awful.
Yeah.
And Bull, I don't know how you replace him.
It's a bad
Mitchell McGuire, but
yeah, I've been a huge Alex Wright guy for a number of years. He's always the guy I picked to have a breakout season. He always seems to get hurt. It's unfortunate. He's dealt with a number of injuries.
You gotta stop
And
making people
that it's
move.
not serious, even though it seems to be. You never know. Maybe you get lucky. Sometimes you think it's something, and then you're right. It's maybe a cramp on that, whatever. Or even if it's an ankle sprain, that's something you can overcome. Even a high ankle sprain, which is bad, like he'll be back.
Yeah.
But if it's something like an Achilles or something like that, then obviously that's a total disaster. He's their second best defensive end. And Jared Verse is new to the team, so it's a bad loss.
It's a critical.
It's a bad loss.
I think it's critical because it's opposite Verse. Verse is going to prove to everybody right away, you better double team me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, he's going to eat, and that would allow your other end to feast.
Right.
If Jared Verse is able to command double teams, like meaning if they don't double team him and he just be going Scotty, then we not tripping over this Myles Garrett trade no more. If we able to get somebody to, I don't know, Myles Garrett was getting triple teamed. All right, I'll take all that back. I'll take all that back where I was going with that. I was trying to hype it up. Come on.
Second best defensive end. And Jared Verse is new to the team, so it's a bad loss.
It's a critical.
It's a bad loss.
I think it's critical because it's opposite Verse. Verse is going to prove to everybody right away, you better double team me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, he's going to eat, and that would allow your other end to feast.
Right.
And it's important that person is good. I know the Browns were already in the market, and they swung and missed at two guys that they once had in their fold.
Yeah.
And they decided to go elsewhere. I don't know what the options are. Okay, there's some names.
Oh, I got you, Jay. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was
These
going.
guys are all past their prime, though.
They are, but do you call Joey Bosa? Do you give him a ring and say, look, we've got a great spot open for you? If how much most attractive name to me?
How much did Joey Bosa play the last couple? Mike,
Not much. I don't think.
I'll pull it up real quick. He actually was better. He was better last year than
34. That's a guess. I could be wrong.
Who, Bosa?
Yeah. What do you got on his
He's
age?
a year older than Tyvus. He's 30. Joey Bosa's 31. Actually, just turned 31, so Tyvus' age.
That
He's
old.
got some snaps left in
Played
him.
15 games last year and 5 sacks.
If 5 sacks,
He has 10 sacks the last 2 years combined. Yeah.
how many games?
Give him a call then.
He played 29 games the last 2 years.
He hasn't missed that much time. I thought he missed more time.
I thought
he did. So he played.
Nick Bosa's missed a lot of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Nick
Yeah,
has
yeah,
this
yeah.
time.
And Joey played between 22. He played 5 games. 23 only played 9 games. And then he played 14 and 15 the last.
He's not a game changer at this point.
No, he's
a veteran.
He's a veteran.
Decent player.
Knows the drill. And could help.
You know what's funny?
Point, that's what you need.
Do you know what's funny about Joey Bosa real quick?
Yeah.
Before the Miles trade, so you got to turn the clocks back a while. Fox Sports did an article of one veteran that each NFL team should consider, and I put the Joey Bosa top, and I got laughed at. I think both of you actually laughed at me, like, this is a ridiculous exercise. They have Myles Garrett. Bosa would want to go to a winning team.
Yeah.
You were right at the time.
Yeah, now he has no
So
choice.
much stuff
Things
has changed.
though.
He is not signed. I genuinely think Joey Bosa is a legitimate option for Andrew Berry and the Browns to look at. If they were considering Clowney and they were considering Zadarius Smith, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
consider Joey
I mean,
Bosa
but
now?
yeah,
There's been no buzz on any of these. I haven't heard rumors on any of these guys that I can think of. So
No, me either.
I don't know, but listen, you might at this point. I didn't think they necessarily needed a veteran before this injury because I'd rather go with young guys on a young team. But at this point, I mean, you got to have players that can at least be serviceable in
And
the position.
of the two sides of the ball, I think, even though I had concerns about the defense taking a step back,
Yeah.
of the two sides of the ball, I think it's pretty clear.
Hold
that
on,
it's
hold
still
on,
a
hold
defensive-
on. I like Colts. I like Colts, man. I like Colts, man. That's best stuff. That's the only person I got. Also like Daniel Jones, man. I'm mad he ain't trying to start. I can't keep stopping the audio, y'all.
Listen, you might at this point. I didn't think they necessarily needed a veteran before this injury because I'd rather go with young guys on a young team. But at this point, I mean, you got to have players that can at least be serviceable in
And
the position.
of the two sides of the ball, I think, even though I had concerns about the defense taking a step back,
Yeah.
of the two sides of the ball, I think it's pretty clear that it's still a defensive dominated team.
Yeah,
They still have the bulk of the talent
Yeah.
on that side of the football. Now, the offense is pushing with some of these young guys, but right now, our strength is still the defense.
Yeah.
You cannot take a step backwards there. You can't. You've got to do everything you can to remain one of the top, at least 10 defenses in the NFL. And that's going to be a stretch now.
Yeah.
If you don't have another good edge pass rusher to help with the double teams.
And remember, even though Hole and Graham are back, they're still very thin at defensive tackle because all their backup D tackles, I think their third, fourth, and fifth tackles are all out right now.
The thing about the Browns defense, which I think we've seen over training camp, they are not very deep at pretty much every position. And that is the problem.
Yeah.
When you see the quarterbacks who's going with the second team lighting it up each week, it's like, oh, well, that's because the defensive backs that are going with the second team defense might not be on this team, might not be good enough to fit this team.
Right.
They just don't have enough depth. And that is the Browns' biggest problem right now on both sides of the ball, but specifically on the defensive side of the ball. One thing I want to say about everyone freaks out about the cart coming out. They were doing one-on-ones on the furthest end of the field from the locker room.
Yeah.
And when you got those big guys,
You don't want them to walk
on a hot day,
Yeah.
and especially a lower leg injury,
Yeah.
you call the cart, whether it's a cramp, you call the cart. If
That's
it's
what we
tired,
knew.
you know, that's the cart.
Is an
That's what we
optimistic
knew.
There you go.
That's an optimistic spin.
I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm saying everyone sees the cart and thinks
Listen,
it's the worst.
It's great context.
Yes.
I wouldn't have known how close to the locker room he was.
That's true.
I'm glad to hear that. On the other end of it, I think when a player goes down, if he can walk under his own power,
He usually does.
that's a strong message to the other guys in camp. Hey,
Yeah.
he's okay, guys. He's up and walking.
Yeah, right.
Let's go. Let's get this
Yeah.
thing. And the fact that he rode in the cart, I like your plausible explanation. I just don't know if I'm buying it.
Fingers crossed that hoping he's okay.
All right. Hey, we've got some good Guardians baseball to talk about. They've won a series. It wasn't against a great team, but they won a series. We'll talk about that and what we need to see in Denver this weekend to get excited about our club.
Do I even got anything else in the queue? I don't even think so. Hold on. Let me get something else in here, man. Else in the queue? I don't even think so. Hold on. The deal lost to Vaseline. All right, man. We out. We out, man. Thanks for everybody that pulled up. Put your comments down in the chat. Let me know if I was talking too crazy. Whatever. Browns fans, we up, man. We played the Bills today. Shout out Cindy Bunny, man. Welcome to Real McCoy TV, where faith intertwines with daily life, empowering us to inspire positive change. Our mission is not just to share our story, but to uplift our community and celebrate authentic tales of faith and family. Journey with us and witness Cleveland's vibrant sports scene alongside heartwarming church events and cherished family moments, all showcasing our shared values. New content graces your screens every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday evenings, making it easy to engage with us on this enlightening adventure. We invite you to be part of the Real McCoy experience. Whether you wish to call in, join discussions, or collaborate, your voice matters. Plus, support our mission through Cash App, GoFundMe, or Patreon. Together, we create a thriving community of faith and support where every contribution counts.